this point, I would like to talk about attitude. And I want to compare attitude with skills and with knowledge. So if we take those three components, so we have attitude, we have skills, and we have knowledge. What do you think is most important for success? And I usually do these at my seminars, and I ask people, what do you think is the most important? So if you had to, let's say, divide this up into percentages, and then like you say, I have a person A, maybe a person B, and a person C, and what they're saying is something like, oh, like 20%, 50%, 30%, or someone is saying something like, oh no, attitude is most important, this is at least 80%, 10%, and here 10%, or another one says, well, but you need to have the knowledge. So, I get all kinds of numbers, 70, maybe 10%, 20%. So all kinds of numbers here in regards to attitude, skills, or knowledge. And here's a little test, and this is funny how this works in the universe. So if you take the number, the letter A, and you assign a number to it, let's say you assign a number 1, then you take B, which is 2, C, it's 3, then D, which is 4, E, which is 5, and so forth. Then let's take the word attitude and let's break it down. Okay, so if we have A-T-T-I-T-U-D-E, let's see what that ends up with. So A is what? A is number 1, okay? Then T, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you go through the numbers, you're going to find out that T is 20, I is 9, T is another 20, then 21, then D is 4 and 5. So if you add all these numbers together, interestingly, you get 100% basically saying that attitude is everything. So no matter how good your skills are, no matter how good your knowledge is, if you have the wrong attitude, you're not getting anywhere. So attitude is the most important thing. Now, I wanted to show you my check of the $1.4 million that I did put into my dream book. And I'm going to show you a picture of it right here. So the idea was that if you have the right positive mental attitude, okay, you can achieve anything. So, but what does that really mean? Okay, in my case is I have a journal. This is my personal dream journal. So what I do is I write ideas, plans, strategies, and things like that, goals, every single day into this, just my thoughts, and dwell on my dreams, dwell on my goals, and try to have a positive attitude about it. So I'm trying to get as much detail and clarity as possible in my personal journals, and this is what helps me keeping the right attitude. So having the right goals is one thing, but dreaming, dwelling, contemplating, strategizing, those are things that are going to help you achieve those goals and make them a reality. Now, when it comes to attitude, obviously, you also need the right kind of information. And this is why I do the programs that I do. And now let's say, when you look at your brain here, so that's you, happy face, you put in the software of the 80s, for example, but you have a supercomputer, which here in your brain, this is your supercomputer who is better than the most modern computers that exists today, but you feed it with the wrong kind of software, what's going to happen? It's not going to be effective, okay? So you can have the best computer in the world, feeding it with the wrong information is not going to help you. So that's why you also need to read. You need the right information. You need to listen to audio programs, video programs, and so forth. And that's why I do what I do, to help you to get the right kind of info in your head. And sometimes, and this is very important, one idea, one thought, or one strategy is all it takes to change everything, to turn everything around. In my opinion, courage and self-confidence are the most important things to be successful in business. And I want to give you some examples from my own life. So when I was first starting with Hemis Corporation, with my company, I didn't have a geologist. I had some projects, but I really needed a geologist. And so, not having any kind of contacts or experience in that field, I called up a geologist who had a PhD, who had 30 years of experience, who worked for one of the biggest gold companies in the world. And what I did is I took all my courage and I made the phone call and I called him up and I talked to him about my idea, about my plans. And to my surprise, he agreed to be on my board. So, and the simple act of having the courage of picking up the phone and asking, simply that led to the success of further things afterwards. Because after that, I ended up with 10 geologists. After that, I ended up with $40 million in raised capital with 25 different projects. So it was the initial step of being a little scared, but still, despite that, doing it despite being afraid. And this is why I feel that courage is the most important factor when it comes to business success. So not being afraid of big numbers, of big visions, of asking people to help you, asking people to give you advice or to lead you in the right direction and so forth. So that's one of the very important key factors in my opinion. The other thing that's important is to just ask anyone anything. Meaning, if you had to call up the President of the United States and ask him for something, you need to have that attitude that you want to ask anyone anything. That you are not afraid of confrontation or anyone who might be doing better than you today. So that's key. The next thing is fear is something that holds us back. Fear is something that paralyzes us, and that's really is our biggest enemy. We are our own biggest enemy. And so how do you overcome fear? And in my opinion, it's like a muscle. Courage and self-confidence is like a muscle. When you go to the gym and you work out, you just keep doing it and you go higher and higher and higher. And you can do simple things. Now it might sound silly, but simple things like go bungee jumping, go skydiving, do things that you fear, do little things every single day. Hold a spider that you're afraid of, whatever it has to be. Something that develops that muscle, that develops that courage muscle each and every single day until it becomes normal, okay? And that's when you make a breakthrough. The next step is to continuously feeding your brain with positive messages. And so I'm a big, huge fan of audio programs. So for example, this is from Anthony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Mike Dooley, whatever it is that you're interested in, whatever is helping you to move forward and get a positive attitude, continuously listen to positive messages. In your car, when you go jogging, have like a positive a CD player, whatever you want to have with you. When I used to walk my dog, I used to walk him every single morning for like a half an hour, 45 minutes, and I would listen to positive messages. And then I would get on the train, and instead of just listening to music or whatever, I would listen or read something positive. And that's important. You need to continuously feed your brain with positive things. At one point in my life, after I was doing well, I started to kind of get to a plateau, or things kind of went back down. And I was like, okay, what's happening? And even though I thought I knew most of the things that I needed to know, I just started listening again. And you know what? Things picked up again. And it's simple as that. Whatever we feed into our brain is what influences us. And if you keep, surfing the internet, looking at silly videos on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, or listening to negative news or problems in the world, or this person has been murdered or raped or whatever. So all these things are negative emotions, and they're not really a positive influence on your life. So what you should do is feed your brain with positive, empowering messages, and even though you've heard them, the repetition over and over is going to help you to improve your life. And finally, if you want to get ahead in life, and that means basically making money, being successful in business, what do you need to do? You need to have a successful business, but a successful business means that you're selling a product or a service, which means that you should become really, really good at sales and marketing, or sales psychology, marketing strategies, business in general, and so forth. So how do you get that kind of knowledge? Obviously, you can go to university or business school or whatever, but is that really going to be enough? No, it's not. What you should do is you should be reading one book every single week. So if you have one book per week, what does that lead to? That leads to about 50 books per year, huh? Okay, very simple. Now, 50 books per year times 10 years is equal to an additional university degree. Okay? So, wherever you are, read books once a week. When you're waiting at the doctor's office, when you're waiting somewhere for your wife in a restaurant, or whatever you do, continuously keep reading. Stop watching TV, switch to books, okay? I mean, I love good movies, and that's fine, but just have the habit of reading one book a week. Now, imagine this. If you read books, let's say 10 books about sales, about marketing, about business success, do you believe that after reading those 10 books that you'll be more successful? Yes, you are. Of course you are. And that's the key. You need to learn and improve yourself constantly, and you need to get the right kind of knowledge to move ahead. So if you do this, you can't help but become successful. Now, when it comes to reading books, I would recommend the two books. First, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is such a classic and such an important book because it opens up your mind to new possibilities to make things happen in your life. So if you haven't read that book, this is a must. The second book is called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, which is also another classic, which is so important because it teaches you how to interact with other people and to improve your relationships in every aspect of your life, but especially in business and in sales. And now if we go a little bit more further, I'm a huge fan of Brian Tracy, and just to show you, for example, he has a series called Successful Selling, and it's a DVD series of 30 videos about sales training. So do stuff like that. Buy products, buy my products if you like, but also buy other people's products. Okay, I have a sales psychology product that you can buy, but there's great products out there or programs out there that just teaches you certain skills. And you don't need to go 10 years trying hard and figuring things out by yourself until you figure things out. You can learn from the best, and this is what I would suggest. And here's another thing. You see, for example, Dot-Com Secrets by Russell Brunson. He's a great, great guy, and he has his book about internet marketing, about funnels. So if you want to learn more about how to promote your products, read his book. And finally, another book I would recommend is The Product Launch Formula by Jeff Walker. So those are amazing books, and those will teach you what you need to know. And they come straight from the top. They come from the best of the best in the industry, in the business. So learn from the best and model their success, and you will have similar results. So I want to encourage you to read, to feed your mind with positive and great knowledge.